Hey, I'm Kevin, and this is HFX by Bike, a channel all about getting around Halifax by bike. A friend of mine is retiring, so I'm heading from the gym that we trained together at, PunchHIIT Fitness in Spryfield, to Garrison Brewing at the Halifax Seaport. As always, I'll be playing a game of +1 -2 along the way. Every time I run into something that makes my trip safer or more convenient, I'll add a point, and every time I run into something that makes it less safe or less convenient, I'll take 2 away. You can keep track of how I think the ride is going by looking at the heads-up display in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm starting out at PunchHIIT Fitness in Spryfield. This intersection can be kind of annoying because it's so close to the lights at Old Samborough Road that I can get pinned here for extended periods of time. This is Herring Cove Road, which is a major road unsupported by bike infrastructure. I'm taking a detour onto Old Samborough Road and up this side street. The most direct route isn't supported by bike infrastructure and goes through some pretty dicey roads, so I default to a much less direct route. Part of that detour is using the small trail to connect up to Cowie Hill Road. This neighborhood had speed bumps added recently. There isn't really a good way to access the Chain Lakes Trail that doesn't involve riding on this sidewalk, but it's only for a short stint. This is the Dunbrack Greenway, and it's going to connect me up to the Chain Lakes Trail. This ramp is slightly steep, but it's so short that it won't be a problem for most people. There's a smooth connection onto the Chain Lakes Trail. The crossing at the streets intersecting the trail have been narrowed and more formalized. There's a facilitated crossing at Joe Howe Drive that I can use to connect to the peninsula. This ramp carries me down to Elliott Street. I keep describing it as new in my videos, but it's actually almost 2 years old now. The paving on Elliott Street remains terrible. The streets between the ramp and the Bears Road multi-use path have been traffic calmed to create a de facto local street bikeway. There's a smooth connection onto the Bears Road multi-use path. There's a forced dismount at the bridge as it's not wide enough for 2 people to pass one another. I'm not gonna lie, biking past gridlock like this is always pretty cool. The curb drops at these intersections are excessive and uncomfortable to ride over. The entrance to the Halifax Shopping Centre is a bit of a mess, with multiple conflicting movements along pedestrian and cycling path. You do need to keep your head on a bit of a constant swivel just to get through. This ramp drops me off into a traffic calm street on George Daphne. This is Almond Street, which is a major road without any bike infrastructure. If you count the traffic calm streets, I was in one form of bike infrastructure or another for almost 4.5 kilometers. Traffic doesn't apply to me, it's for other people. There's no right on red at this intersection, but it's new and I didn't even process that it was there. That's on me. These are the Windsor Street painted bike lanes. Don't drive in the bike lane. This is the Quantum intersection. The bike lane drops out to make room for a turn lane for cars. The misaligned intersection tends to confuse drivers and makes them kind of unpredictable. I'm going to use this short multi-use path to connect up to Quingate Place on the Vernon Bikeway. There's a sign-based mode filter at the intersection of Quinpool and Vernon. There's another mode filter at the halfway point with the intersection at Jubilee. There's one last mode filter at Coburg, but the really neat thing is the sensor I am parked on that'll change the light and stop traffic to let me cross. These are the University Avenue protected bike lanes. I'm only going to be in them for about a block. This section of University doesn't have any bike infrastructure. I'm stuck in traffic on approach to the Morris and Queen intersection. This is awful. I'll just be passing through the Hollis Street protected bike lanes briefly. This turn box lets me make a left-hand turn from the bike lane. The lane ends at Terminal Road, but that's a local street. There are sometimes bike racks immediately next to the brewery, but if not, there are always some across the street at the Seaport. My trip from Spryfield to Garrison Brewing at the Halifax Seaport took about 47 minutes at a casual pace. Relative to most of my trips, this one is essentially a giant detour in trying to avoid the more direct path of Herring Cove Road, the Armadale Roundabout, and Quinpool Road, as that path doesn't have any bike infrastructure. According to Google, this trip would take anywhere between 22 and 45 minutes by car and 54 minutes by bus. Realistically, most of the time the car would be a lot faster, as I did go on a pretty elaborate detour to avoid some of the city's busiest roads. Most of the trip was either in one form of bike infrastructure or another, or at least on a quiet side street. The main exceptions were biking up Almond Street and east along Morris. Almond is relatively low traffic, and Morris was completely congested because I was filming at rush hour. Overall, this trip is pretty doable by most people, but the path I needed to avoid the city's busiest roads is pretty obnoxious. That's it for this one. Let me know what kind of trips around the city that you'd like to see covered and businesses that I should visit by going to the video request map linked in the description. And if you like this kind of thing, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos all about getting around Halifax by bike. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time. Happy retirement stuff. See you in the gym.